let him.
Oh my goodness, come on.
I'm telling you what, Christians needs to get rid of the horseback and get a duck's back. You know what I'm talking about? Horseback, you can put a saddle on. A duck's back, water even rolls off. A lot of times we carry stuff around and it's our own fault. And the devil will wear you out. Speaking from experience, as a Christian, as a pastor, I had a man to tell me yesterday, and it just blessed me to no end. Somebody had said something, and I said, man, I hate that. He said you shouldn't. He said you should just let it roll off. He said don't pay no attention to that stuff. I said, man, that's good preaching. It really is. I used the illustration here a while back, and I'd read this. This man came into town on a horse. He traveled. His home was about 10 miles away, and he rode that horse into town. Had a little old dog with him, and he rode into wherever, a store or saloon or whatever it was. Got off of that horse and began to tie that horse up. And that old dog was there with him. Said there's a man come over there and jumped all over him. He said, you look at that poor dog. He said, he's wore plumb out, wet with sweat. Said, that's a shame you do him like that. And said, here you are. Said, you rode in on that horse. And he said, you're doing fine. That man said, let me show you something. I'm going to teach you a lesson. He said, I agree with you. That dog is wore plumb out. His tongue's hanging out. He's covered, he's drenched in sweat. He said, now I want you to look at my horse. Man said, what about him? He said, you see sweat on him? He said, no, matter of fact, I don't. Said, you see him a-panting? He said, no, he's not panting at all. He said, I'm a big man. He carried me into town. He said, you know why that little dog's wore out? He said, me and the horse stayed on the road. And said the whole time, this last 10 miles, that dog was running from that side to that side, from that side to that side, sticking his nose in every little path and every little smell that was on our journey. And that's why he's wore out. I'm here to tell you, church, if you don't stay online, praise the Lord, the devil will wear you out from sticking your nose in things that it don't need to be in and places that it don't need to be in, and nobody will be hurt but you. Amen. How many's been there? Yes, sirree. Man, you got to chuck that saddle off and say, no more free rides, pal. I now got a duck back.
That's good preaching.
That is good preaching, Bobby. Now listen to me. Come over here, Bobby. Bobby was, how long you been in that wheelchair, Bobby?
Almost 15 years.
Almost 15 years. Happened on a Wednesday night while we was having church. 15 years ago, I can't imagine. Bobby, how big did they say that slate, that rock was that fell on you?
I think it was 20-some foot long and about 4 or 5 foot wide.
How thick?
About 3 foot thick.
20-some feet long? 4 feet wide?
Yeah.
3 foot thick. Can you picture Bobby laying in a coal mine with that big rock on him? How terrible a sight that was. Bobby, I believe the hardest-hearted person in the world that could get a picture of that night in that coal mine would shed a tear and their heart would flutter out of compassion. I really do. And folks will say, that's the saddest thing I ever heard of, or the saddest thing I ever seen. Was you on your face on the ground or on your back?
I was in between a piece of equipment, and when it fell, I hit on the piece of equipment, and it had me down in between there.
All right. Sad situation, ain't it? What was it? 2 years ago this summer, you totaled that car when we was down in Canal City. Bobby and I went down to barracks to get some window tinting done. And we left barracks in Canal City and came up to Canal City Kroger's. And I told Bobby, I was driving Jenna's car, I said, I got to stop and fill her tank up. He said, I need some gas too. He said, how about filling my car up, after you get hers filled up. Keep him from having to get in and out in that wheelchair. And so I filled her car up with gas. I wasn't in the coal mines, but I was over at Canal City when this happened. Filled Bobby's car up, and a man come over there and was talking to us, looking at Bobby's car. And we stood and talked to him a few minutes, and Bobby pulled out from that gas pump and went down along McCorkle beside the Kroger building, and he gave it the gas more than he should have. But he was letting them know what he had, and that accelerator stuck. When he got to that SGS building, cinder block and brick, he was doing every bit of 70 miles an hour. And I was right behind him watching the whole thing. Nothing I could do. That car went through that natural gas meter, through that fence, and when he hit that brick wall didn't budge a bit. And that car, when he hit, flipped up in the back. And the back of it almost hit the building, the top of it. It flipped up so far. I run over there and run to him, and I knew he was dead. Had to have been dead. And this guy that we was talking to was in front of us. He saw it, he stopped, and he run back. And I run up there and went through that fence. It was already tore down. And that boy said, we got to get him out of here. There's a gas leak. I thought he was talking about gasoline, and it was no surprise. No, he said he tore that gas meter out. So there, that big old, 4-inch line of natural gas blowing up around a car that was full of gas. And I got weak-kneed, and we grabbed Bobby. We quit worrying about where he was bleeding and got him out of there, got him up out of the way. It was a terrible sight. 2 situations. Man, we'll talk about that, Bobby, and we'll say, like I said, I didn't see the slate fall, but I seen a car wreck. A terrible thing, and man, it makes me sad. Let me tell you about another place Bobby was in. More dangerous than a slate fall. More dangerous than a car wreck.
Come on, preacher. Tell it right.
Going on 50 years ago,
Yeah.
Bobby went down this creek. So traveled, had such a load on his back, and a few good Christians
Yeah.
was having a cottage prayer meeting down to his mama's house.
Yeah.
Bobby had no control over that slate falling.
Come on.
Bobby could do nothing, told me about that accelerator sticking.
Come on.
And Bobby could do nothing about that load that he was carrying and that burden that he was bearing.
Come on.
And he knew he had to get a hold of somebody.
Yeah.
Right. Amen.
Bobby looked down, and it was a worse picture than a big old piece of slate laying on his back. The picture was far worse than a 65 Nova, 66 Nova hitting a brick wall in Canal City. But Bobby seen himself headed for a terrible place called hell, where there was weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth.
Yes.
Man, we'll tell about that place, Bobby. And I know that these folks have shed tears because you got paralyzed under a slate fall. And folks teared up because that you hit a brick wall doing 70 miles an hour. But I'm telling you what, there's something far more scary than that. There's people headed down the road of destruction. And I'm telling you what, they ain't no return once they get there. But Bobby, praise the Lord, because Bobby went in, the devil said, there ain't no sense in you praying because you don't know how to pray. Ain't no sense in you trying to be Christian because you don't know nothing about the Bible. But Bobby's testified to the fact that he got down in the corner of his mama's house in a prayer meeting, in a cottage prayer meeting, and said, Lord, I can't pray, but I need to be saved. Praise the Lord forever. Lord, I don't know nothing about it. And the wrong I've done, I can't remember it all, but all I know is I need forgiveness. Guess what, Bobby? Thank God forever. You're living proof today that the blood of Jesus Christ cleanses us from all unrighteousness. Bobby couldn't do nothing about the slate falling. Bobby couldn't do nothing about the accelerator sticking. But it was his choice to make. To turn. Turn and cry out to Jesus Christ. There's things in this life that's unpreventable for you and I. There's a choice that only one person can make in our lives, and that's us. The Bible said good and evil set before us. Choose this day whom we're going to serve. If you're here today, the devil's wore you out. It's time, thank God, to take the saddle off. Get your eyes focused on Jesus Christ. Let's get together and go home to be with Jesus. If you're here today and you're lost and undone without the Lord, you ain't going to change the world, but you can change yourself if you'll cry out to Jesus. You say, preacher, I can't do it. No. You're the one that's got to do the calling, and He'll do the answer. You're the one that's got to submit yourself, and He'll take over. It's all up to us. We serve a God, Bobby. You can start off in Genesis 1. The Bible said the earth was void and without form. And the voice of the Lord began to speak in the midst of that darkness. Listen to me. He formed mountains. Power, listen. Power like no other power. He spoke it into existence. Mountains was created. Uncontrollable waters were divided by the sound of His voice. And I'm telling you what, if there's that much power in His voice, leave not a shadow of a doubt in my mind that He ain't got the power to grab you by the shirt collar, throw you down this altar and say, boy, cry out to me. He's got that much power. But He's never done it, and He will start today. What He does is call and make Himself available. And you and I has got to submit to Him. That's the only way we can be saved. Churches will tell you that you got to be this good, or you got to reach this level first. No. There ain't no way we could ever be good enough. There ain't no way we could get ourselves to a certain level. But I'm telling you what, if we'll cry out to Him, Johnny Rollins, say, Lord, here I am and I need saved. Like I said, there's circumstances, Bobby, that's happened in your life that's uncontrollable. That was uncontrollable. But the biggest, the worst mess you was ever in, you had power over it. You could have stayed, listen, you could have stayed on that road that you was on, headed for a devil's hell.
Come on, preacher.
The devil would have had a heyday. You think Bobby ain't had obstacles? Sure has had obstacles. Help, come up here. Where you at? Nikki, come up here. Nicky, run the back and get your boys real quick. Toby, come back up here. Have you had obstacles? Been through valleys, buddy? Yeah. It's going on 50 years for him too, ain't it, buddy?
Yeah.
Thank God. You didn't know a whole lot about this thing, did you? Your mommy and daddy wasn't even Christians, was it? Mommy and daddy wasn't even Christians. Had to begin to hear a voice. A voice that sounded like none other. Was there days that you thought you wasn't going to make it? Was there valleys that you went through that you thought was going to consume you? And there was days that you feel like and the devil had you convinced that you wasn't even worthy to be called the Son of God.
Come on, preacher.
But you held on, didn't you?
It tells me that.
Still yet tells you. Come over here, Toby. Bobby, how old was Toby that day you got down to Mama's house down there? Peggy will tell you.
About 3.
3 years old. How old are you now, Toby?
46.
46 years old. Come over here, Nick. I'm giving you proof if you'll hold on. Some of you might sit here today and you think the Lord, my family ain't never going to get saved. If you'll hold on, they will. Nick, how old are you?
39.
39. David, how old are you?
16.
How old are you?
13.
13. Nick, or Isaac, how old are you? What if you hadn't heeded to that voice? Look here. Not only your boy, but your 3 grandsons and your granddaughters is here today. Why? Because you wasn't perfect. Listen, you didn't do everything right, but you held on. How? Look what God's done. Bobby, why don't you listen to the enemy? Said that you can't do it. You don't know how to pray. You don't know nothing about the Bible. 43, he's 46, 43 years later. Because he trusted God. Thank God forever. Bobby, you might not have been perfect. You might not have done everything right. But right here's proof. Thank God for it. The devil could have had Toby. Had Bobby not listened. But Bobby held on. I've held on.
Yes.
And look. Evidence right here.
Amen. You're right.
Toby's teaching. You don't know. Might not be long. Nick can be preaching. That's why I don't want to miss church. If you're here this morning, you will lose if you listen to the devil. But if you rise above it and say, devil, you're not whipping me, you're not defeating me. I may be beat down, but I'm not staying down. Because the Lord is going to see me through. Father, we come before you. These guys stands here with me and agrees with me in prayer. We've got proof this morning, Lord, that you're able. I take Nick, I take Toby. They can stand here and give their testimony, and I'm sure part of it would go something like this. I was afraid I couldn't measure it. I was afraid my sins were too great. There's no way that I could serve the Lord. There's no way that I could submit to the Lord. Oh, Father, they heeded your voice. And look what you've done in their lives. Somebody here this morning, Lord, has won you. But they just feel like that it's not in them. Help them to realize it's not in them yet. But if they'll call out to you, you'll be in them. You'll abide in them. You'll walk with them. You'll lead them. You'll carry them. You'll make a way where there seemeth to be no way. As they sing this song this morning, These men and boys behind me stands here, and as we agree in spirit and in mind and in prayer, give somebody the courage to look at these guys and say, if God done it for them, He can do it for me. Somebody here this morning that the devil's wore out. They've allowed him. We allow the devil sometimes to wear us out. Give him the courage to cry out to you and say, Lord, ain't no more free rides for me. I'm going to get focused on you, and I'm going to serve you. Come hell or high water, I'm going to serve you. Father, work your work as only you can. It's in your name I pray. Amen. Sing it, Justin.
It has been a bad road
Ain't been a bed of roses, has it, Toby?
since I started on.
It ain't always been a bed of roses, has it? But it's good, ain't it, buddy?
Lord, no, I'm not complaining. There's just something I should say. Lord, I've reached desperation, and I've stumbled since my start. I've grown weary through the years. Now I'm crying bitter tears from the depths of my heart. From the depths of my heart, Lord, I'm calling out to you, for I need you here to lead me.
Why don't you come?
I've done all that I can do, and I'm just trying to do my part to see that others make it through. Lord, I know I don't deserve you, but still I'm trying hard to serve you from the depths of my heart.
She's going to do one more course of this song. Because of Hub and Bobby's decision that they made to follow Jesus, changed their lives. But there was a good chance, Bobby. There was a good chance, Hub, had you not been obedient to the voice of the Lord. There's a good chance it would have affected. Yeah. It wasn't because you was perfect, Hub, but you held on. Right here's the evidence. The decision that you make this morning may not only affect you, it can affect your children and your grandchildren. Why don't you come? Sing it chorus one more time.
From the depths of my heart, Lord, I'm calling out to you.
Why don't you come?
For I need you here
Come
to
on.
lead me.
Every head's bowed, the Christians is praying. Spirit of the Lord's calling you. Spirit of the Lord is all around you.
I'm just trying
Slip out of your seat right now.
to see that others make it through. Lord, I know I don't deserve you, but still I'm trying hard to serve you from the depths of my heart.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, guys. All right. Been a good place to be.